Hi, this is John Torres, and I chose my quality of character presentation topic on courage. Character traits are parts of people's personalities that allow them to make decisions in everyday life. Courage is a character trait that is most often seen in people who are leaders or people who take initiative. Think about it. When you think of people who are courageous, you think of heroes, people that we idolize for making big-time decisions that other people wouldn't make. Oftentimes, these decisions aren't for their own benefit even. A lot of times, they do things at the risk of their own life. I would define courage as a person's ability to be strong-willed, stand up for others, and be brave in the face of adversity. People who are courageous think about the well-being of others before the well-being of themselves. That's why courage is such a powerful character trait. People are able to rise above tough situations, burning buildings, people who are struggling, and manage to find a way to help people who are in need. An example of somebody acting courageously can be seen in the article I provided from CNN. In this clip, you can see the impact courage can have on another person's life. Shown in the video is an unknown man who walks into a burning home to save an elderly person strapped to an oxygen tank. The man didn't know the person he was saving. He didn't do it for a reward. He just did it because he saw the opportunity to help another human being in need. Stories like the one in the CNN article are nothing new. People have been acting courageously since biblical times. As a matter of fact, there are actually several definitions of what it means to be courageous in the Bible. One definition of courage that can be seen in the Bible can be seen in Romans 5. It reads, "Good courage relies upon the supernatural strength of God to strengthen and motivate believers to be courageous as children of God." The Bible doesn't just stop at definitions of what it means to be courageous. There are actually a number of stories, like David and Goliath and the story of Joshua and Caleb, that teach people who study the Bible how to be courageous. But there are other methods we can use to teach people how to be courageous. One of them is teaching quality of character through sports. Sports is a great vehicle for teaching young people what it means to be courageous. It requires people to band together, to make individual sacrifices for the benefit of another cause, which is for the team. I think that sports is possibly the most important way to teach young people how to be courageous. It asks them to be sportsmanlike, follow the rules, uphold the integrity of the game. And it also requires young people to step up and be leaders for other groups of people. These are all great ways to teach young people how to be courageous and how to be men of action. One example of people using sports as a vehicle for teaching courage can be seen in Joe Ehrmann's philosophy on building men for others. In Coach Ehrmann's philosophy, he requires his young athletes to be better people for their families, their wives, communities. And he does so while being competitive in sports. It teaches these young men that sports have more to offer than wins and losses, or scholarships and fame. It teaches them that they can learn real life lessons, become better leaders, and most importantly, be courageous. He wants his athletes to be men of action, people who don't sit back, people who are brave, stand up for others, and make an impact in other people's lives. There are 7 characteristics that young men have to realize if they're going to be successful in understanding how to become a man for others. It requires them to realize false masculinity, the relationships that make a real man, working for a transcendent cause, accepting responsibility, leading courageously, enacting justice on behalf of others, and learning empathy. These are great ways to teach young men how to have better character. It teaches them that there's more to the sport that they can get out of life. and that's the most important thing at the end of the day. It's supposed to help these young men realize that sports is more than wins and losses. It teaches them that they can be building character and become better people for their society. While building men for others requires a lot of character traits to fully get the best out of the philosophy, Ehrman uses courage as a key pillar for teaching these young men how to be men of action, which at the end of the day is what you want. You want people who are bold, who take initiative, who don't sit back and watch others. Those are the type of people that make a big difference in life. They do well in their jobs. They're good people for their families. They protect others. They look after people. Those are the type of men you want in your society. Learning to be courageous isn't limited to just men. A great example of a female learning how to be courageous through the vehicle of sports can be seen in Nadine Champion. I've included a video on a TED Talk on her belief of 10 seconds of courage. She was first introduced to being courageous through sports when she was fighting a mentally handicapped opponent. She had a hard time physically investing into the fight because of the disability of her opponent, until her coach told her, change your thinking, which is rather profound. If you really think about it, your behavior, the way you act, it just details the way you think about the world. It shows your understanding about what life really means. So for her, if she wanted to be successful in that fight, she had to change her thinking. She had to look past her opponent's disability to put up a better fight. This got her looking at courage more closely and eventually helped develop her idea on what it means to have 10 seconds of courage. Because in those 10 seconds, there's decisions to make. And when you make your decision, you want it to be bold. You want it to be something that has a positive impact on yourself and others, which is a great idea. To conclude this presentation, let's look back on everything we've talked about. We've mentioned the definition of courage and how it helps people make difficult decisions and deal with adversity better. We looked at biblical definitions of courage and the lessons the Bible has to teach us about being courageous and the benefits it can have for society. We've even talked about Ehrman's philosophy on coaching and the way that sports can change young people's lives and help them behave more courageously. At the end of the day, I think that courage is quite possibly the most characteristic trait a person can learn. It helps them make better decisions. It helps them to be bold. It helps them to take action. And that is a powerful thing. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation.